Hello, people. This one should be brief. This is something that I acquired. I'm not going to say how I acquired this orientation. This is an orientation for the public. Again, in my investigations, I keep finding a lot. This is the dress code. It's in Spanish of how clients, before going to court, are supposed to dress, and I guess pretty much, basically dress. Nothing about behavior, but just dress here. This is dress code. Again, this is for clients. This is for people that come out from the public to see the judge. They come with their attorneys, or they might just come with their probation officer, etc., depending on the particular case of the day. I'm going to try to make it brief. There's not much here to say. I do recognize who.
El tribunal requiere vestimenta apropiada. No se permiten gorras, leggings, pantalones cortos o rotos.
Again, this is the female describing verbally what to wear, how what not to wear, etc. Let me play a little bit so you can.
Camisillas, blusas con escote, zapatos abiertos, ni vestimenta con mensajes obscenos y ofensivos. Evita el uso de ropa muy ajustada. Es recomendable que traiga un abrigo, ya que las salas de corte pueden ser frías.
Okay, I'm not going to play much. It's in Spanish. Depending on who's listening. I mean, since it's in English, I'm not going to play much more. I think the bigger point here that I want to make is how we, when I say we, the courts, I can't say we anymore. I'm not there anymore. But it's amazing how the courts expect from the public specific attire, specific decency, and how the public should dress before entering court or presenting themselves to court. Yet the 13 years I worked there, I always realized that the employees don't necessarily live up to these same standards, which again, it's ironic. It's a contradiction. It's the inconsistency that I've mentioned before many times, that we say one thing and we don't do it. We expect things from others that we ourselves do not achieve or accomplish or live up to. For example, let's talk about leggings. We all know what leggings are, right? It's in that's in English, but let's look it up anyway, so we don't misinterpret, or that I won't misinterpret anything. Let me see what comes up as leggings. Well, there you go. That's what pops up, leggings. You can imagine why leggings to court is inappropriate, because it's too revealing. Obviously, shows too much, too provocative, inappropriate, unprofessional. You can come up with all the words you want. Yet I myself have, I recall many occasions, federal employees, female employees, dressing pretty tight. Something similar to this one, more, not so much to that, but there's been occasions where some come close to that. So again, they don't live up to their own rules. Let's just put it that way. That's my point. Again, this contributes to the toxicity. This contributes to the misunderstandings, the provocation, the attention seeking, the validation seeking of women. But it's men's fault that they dress that way. It's men's fault that they do this. And like I mentioned before, when Mr. Sanchez wore something tight, he got in trouble. And this is a guy. Again, Mr. Sanchez. A very nice, decent, moral guy. One day he came in with something that I guess resembled something tight. I mean, I've seen him many times after I found out, of the issue. I don't think he ever really wore anything too tight. But again, if a female complained, because I'm pretty sure it was because a female complained, if a female had issues with a man wearing something a little too tight, because maybe she was provoked, maybe it triggered her somehow Maybe it made her feel uncomfortable. Well, guess what, people? And here's where our brains should kick in, especially for HR. This does the exact same thing when women do it. And men were built to be attracted by these things. We're not gay. Again, nothing against that community. But how the hell do you contradict yourself so grossly when it comes to double standards? A man getting in trouble for this, but women can freely and independently do it time and time and time again. I remember occasions where Evelyn would tell me, I can't believe she's wearing that today, and she's a supervisor. I can't believe this one did this. I can't believe that one had surgery and now makes her things look bigger, more exaggerated, etc. But again, let's go back to the video, which is, again, this is orientation for clients before they come to court, how they're supposed to dress appropriately and what not to use. And they're not supposed to use this, yet, employees, female employees, well, they don't follow these rules. It's incredible. It's incredible. You would think that federal employees will be the example, and they should lead by example, like I've mentioned before, including the big guys, both in U.S. District Court and probation. Guys and ladies and anything else. They should lead by example. But let's move on. Obviously, shorts are not appropriate. Broken pants, things you can see. Camisillas. Let's see what camisillas is. Again, I grew up in continental United States. A lot of these words may not necessarily make too much sense to me. So I kind of want to look up. I don't think that's it. Let me see. Did I grab it? Did I grab the right? Yeah, camisillas. I guess it's referring to small shirts, but it's not coming up. It's again, I'm typing it in. Did I type it in? Let me see. Yes. If not, we'll just move on. It's no big deal. Camillas. Oops, I misspelled it. That's the reason why. Camisillas. Let's see what comes up. Again, I'm trying to be quick, so I'm sorry if I take too long. Did it take it? Camisillas. Oh yeah, smaller shirts. And this also applies to guys, obviously. You can't come in, again, too provocative. Both men and women. You cannot go to work or to a court showing too much, because obviously that's not proper attire for the courts. That's not proper attire for a person to show up to a professional building. Again, the point is showing too much. That's the point here. Showing too much, including females, but nowadays females have a tendency of showing too much, but you're supposed to accept it. Again, it applies to both. Camisillas. Let's move on to the next one. Blusas con escote. Let's see what that means. Again, these are their rules. These are their rules. Let me see. I think I hit that wrong. I probably should have looked these up before starting the video. Okay, there it is. Con escote, I think escote is referring to cleavage. Again, too revealing. That's my point again. Attire that is too revealing. So again, clients from the public should not go to the court showing too much cleavage. Which again, I've seen many occasions. I'm going to emphasize it. Co-workers do this, but the public cannot. Do you see the double standard? Do you see the contradiction here? Open shoes. To bring a jacket just in case it's too cold. in court. Look at this one. This means you can't wear anything that has obscene messages. You can almost translate it from Spanish to English. Obscene, obscenos, mensajes obscenos, obscene messages, or offensive. Which obviously, that's something I've never seen a federal employee with clothes on that had an obscene message on it or offensive pictures on it. But going back to this, to the obscene messages or offensive messages, like I've mentioned in other videos, I've had to, through the years, tolerate messages on my phone from females, which were obscene. Like I said before, they've shown me porn. They've sent me, and I still have the 3 pictures of the 3 females that has sent me obscene pictures of themselves. Provocative pictures of themselves, and things that are offensive. Like many of the videos that I have on this channel. So again, it's incredible how they have these rules, and they don't necessarily live up to them, and there's no enforcement of these, rules. Of course, again, I'm emphasizing this applies to the public, but it should also apply to federal employees. They should lead by example, especially if it's wrong for the public to do it. Why is it okay for federal employees to do that? Again, obscene messages or offensive images on your clothing, but this should also apply on not just on clothing, but even the way you dress, even messages that you send to coworkers. But here's the big one here: ropa demasiado ajustada, which is clothes that is too tight. But let me put it in Spanish. Let me put it in Spanish. I think I looked it up earlier. So you guys can believe what I'm talking about. Okay, see? Too tight. Clothes that is too tight. You should not, again, this applies to the public, but if it's inappropriate for the public, it should be inappropriate also for employees, especially since employees are there 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day sometimes. So imagine if, women come to work like this, which I have seen them this way. Even Evelyn in HR and probation has pointed it out. When we had our chats, she pointed these things out, that they were too provocative. And again, clothing that is too tight. So we have to keep in mind, that these things contribute to a non-healthy workplace, to a toxic workplace, to a workplace where, again, if Me Too is going to point the finger at men, well, point the finger at girls too. Tell them how to dress properly. Because once more, if it's in the rule book against the public, against clients that come in to see the judge, and I mentioned this before. I mentioned this to Evelyn when I was there, when I was working there. I believe even years before, I was terminated. I remember telling her things like this. Why is it that a lot of these girls, come to work so tight, yet they don't want people to see them? Like you have to ignore them, basically. But then if you ignore them, that might also trigger one of them, because they're being ignored, or they're not being validated, or they're not being, whatever. Today everybody's a victim of everything. And we're importing this garbage of victimhood mentality from continental United States. Puerto Ricans normally are not like this, but they're becoming Americanized. They're being indoctrinated by a group of people that, again, have us living in a colony. So why are we taking too serious? Well, again, that's another subject. I don't want to ramble on. The point is, again, leggings are not, again, how to come to your sentencing. How you should dress. Well, no leggings, like we mentioned. Broken pants, because, the thing is, some jeans, and I know, especially girls, they like broken jeans, and you can see a lot sometimes. You can see part of their behind, and more sensual parts. Not always, but on many occasions, yeah, if you have broken pants, with holes in them or whatever. Camisillas, the very small shirts, like, again, to revealing escote, that's cleavage. That's wrong too. Obscene messages or images on shirts, no. Yet they tolerate it when it comes to the phone, because again, if every device is being monitored, as I was told during my appeal, they are ignoring when women do these naughty things via messaging. And once again, tight clothing, that's a given. They have these rules. They have these rules for the public. I'm pretty sure they may have it also for employees, but if you don't enforce it, it's like if you didn't have it. It's like Evelyn once told me about Carmen, that she's not there anymore. She was a pretty hot-looking female, and she called her to her office to tell her to dress better. But guess what? According to Evelyn, she told me that she just said, "Well, what am I going to do with my body? How can I cover up all this body?" Again, a little arrogant, a little presumptuous. But in the end, she never did anything. This is the same one that one night while we were doing updates, she went into her office at the time when they had offices on the fourth floor. It was like 8 o'clock at night. It was very few, one of the few times we worked late. And she was in there with her boyfriend. And she went, I saw when they went in, they locked the door because I knocked to try to get in, and they told me to wait because she's changing. Again, she's getting naked in a federal building in her office in front of her boyfriend. That the guy, watching her, pretty much strip in a federal building, he's gonna, what do you call it? He's gonna flirtatiously touch her and I mean, what do couples do? What do couples do? They're always looking for opportunities to touch and grab and whatever. I'm pretty sure, some of that hanky-panky happened in there. And then when they came out, like half hour later, totally dressed. So I know she totally, completely got naked in her office, etc. This is the same Carmen. But again, the point is, if these rules apply to the public, and if a judge, for example, sees a female dressed inappropriately or a guy and tells him, no, we're going to cancel your sentencing, you're going to come back the next time dressed appropriately, this is disrespect to the courts. Well, guess what, judges? Expect that from the employees as well. Expect these rules to apply to the employees. See, this is where I get mad. This is why for a while I was somewhat angry inside. Yeah, angry bird. Because, there's too much contradiction, too much double standards. The rules apply here, but it doesn't apply there. It applies to some people, but it doesn't apply to other people. And this is what sickens the spirit. You see, HR technically is part of the toxicity. They really are. Because when any system favors one over another, or is unjust, or is inconsistent when it comes to applying the rules, you know what? You will make people a little bitter inside. And they will stop respecting you. And yet then they have the nerve, in my case, to say that I was disrespectful in my emails when I compared the course to Cuba. Well, I mean, if it's true, it's true, because it is. In Cuba, I lived around Cubans for 20 years in Florida, and they would tell me things that happened in Cuba, within the Cuban communist system. And guess what? U.S. Court of Puerto Rico, U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico, and Probation, they have similar traits, similar principles of, again, favoritism, of applying the rules one way to one group of people, but not the same across the board to everyone. How they target people for these rules, but ignore other people's that are blatantly ignoring these rules. So once again, don't ask me how I acquired this. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to rat anybody out. But this is what really, really has always gotten me angry inside. And I have more. I'm already becoming a little tired of creating these videos. Because, 3 people are going to watch it. The thing is, I at least vent. I at least, if one person sees it, especially if it's an HR person, they should have a conscience. They should have a heart. They should have empathy. All those big words that they use in trainings and stick up their own butts and don't do anything about it. Because again, they're hypocrites. I mean, there's just no other way of saying it. There's Agnes, Yarisis. Again, I love everybody there. These two people, I technically don't like at all. I believe their disgusting piggery towards me was an extreme when they themselves know that all these rules, among other rules, are being ignored by others, but they had to target me. They just didn't like me. Point blank. That's what it comes down to. So again, for all you hypocrites out there, look at your rules. And Arias, look at your rules, Arias, Judge Arias, Mr. Justice. Look at your rules and make sure they're actually being applied across the board. And I say the same thing for the next chief judge, because I believe it's every 4 years, but it's 2024, and these videos apply to 2023, 2024, and actually before, because a lot of these videos started 13 years ago. My point is, again, you guys have rules, but you only use them when convenient. And that's not right, and that's not fair, and that's not justice. A place that supposedly represents justice, that's the least that you have. I mean, really the least. So again, in your hypocrisy, I guess pretending to do the right thing is enough for you guys to go to sleep at night and feel good about yourselves. When you guys are extremely incompetent when it comes to, following your own rules and enforcing your own rules, but you do it to the, to the public, to civilians, but you yourselves have your own little Sodom and Gomorrah of your own, which is sad. Well, I promised the video to be short. It still ended up being 20. But that's enough for today. Okay? Till next time.